What up, vocal minority? It's your girl, Beyonce, and I absolutely love Nick and Steve. This podcast is funny and insightful, and above all else, Queen Bee approved. This episode could be the one that changes the world, so stick around and put a ring on it if you know what I mean.
Queen Bee herself making an appearance, dude, on the podcast. We appreciate Beyonce. She's been under fire as of late, and I reached out to her, and she was like, "You want me to record a promo for your show?" I was like, "Sure, dude, sure."
Yeah, no, it was very nice for her. It's slightly triggering for me personally, but that's a whole other story. So.
It is? Well, is it a story we should get into?
A certain crazy woman used to keep sending me, if you like it, put a ring on it, little memes. And then I finally put a ring on it, and everything blew up in my life. So, yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that would be triggering.
Yeah, sorry.
I get it. Well, this show may trigger you. It may not, but we welcome you with open arms. The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Welcome, y'all.
Yes. Not that I disagree with Beyonce's politics. I'm glad she's endorsing Kamala, and I'm glad she's blue and all that. So, did she name her kid Blue Ivy, or is that some other star?
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, she could do whatever she wants. She's Queen Bee, right?
Welcome to the show. It's the Vocal Minority back again with Nick and Steve, who are feeling slightly exhausted as we're just about 2 weeks away from this frickin' election already.
Isn't that the truth, dude?
What's the truth? All right. Find the website, thevocalminority.net. That will link you to anything you need to know for us, our actual podcast stuff, and all of these social medias.
Yeah, you can see our webpage anytime and always, vocalminority.net, and call our comment line, 844-48-VOCAL. There's different ways for you to get in touch with us, and we hope you do. If you just want to kick back and listen, that seems to be the norm, so we thank you for being here.
That's right. Reach out and touch us like a Catholic priest. We won't tell anyone, okay? Just between you and me.
I'll ship you around, dude. I'll move you around a little bit.
Right. They just made a joke on SNL. The Catholic Church paid out over $800 million for people that got molested years ago.
Listen, dude, you got to pay the piper sometime, right? Yeah. What did Michael Che say? It seems worth it to me or something like that.
Yeah, the priest said worth every dollar or whatever.
Right.
You know what annoys me about that kind of cash payout from a church? Where does that money come from?
Well, it's from the parishioners, right?
Hey, all you Catholics, that's your money. The priest just used to pay off diddling little boys. So good job putting money in the collection plate. God appreciates it.
It's such a tough one for me, dude, because, sure, I think anyone should pay. Obviously, that harms anyone, especially in that way. But it just sucks, man. You know, sometimes when you meet your hero or you meet someone you really respect, you finally meet him and you're like, God, I wish I wouldn't have. What a dick, dude. That's how I feel about the Catholic Church, is like they've given me a lot of good things in my life, but when the curtain is opened and revealed to see how many slime balls are within the organization, it's an awful thing.
Now, what does it tell you when any organization can pay out $800 million and still be functioning just fine?
Yeah. No, well, they got a lot of parishioners, dude.
We should start a religion, quite frankly.
Oh, I feel like we should, dude. Anything with org on the end. I would like to start donations coming into thevocalminority.org. I don't know why we didn't go that way.
Yeah, I guess we should have. But anyways, well, we're a bit of a cult here. We got a cult following going, and we appreciate all of you. And the social medias continue to do very well. Reddit's the big one, TikTok, YouTube. Post, share, comment, like. And you can find us on the other ones. But I got to be honest with you, Nick, because we've been talking about of late, I'm getting a little burnt out posting and arguing and all that. So I haven't been posting as much to the other pages. Like, I'm diligent with Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube. The other ones, there's stuff there. You can find us.
Well, you don't keep squeezing the lemon that doesn't give you any juice, right?
Right. So I recommend the others, but yeah. Election season, full swing, 2 weeks, give or take, to go. And, our brains are on overload. And I've attempted to pick some news stories today that are not political, but I don't know that we're going to get to it. We only got an hour.
Right, yeah. I know. I feel the same way, dude, but we got to get into it. 2 weeks left. I will tell you something that is scaring me about this. I a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, I just said, hey, I'm a little nervous about all this, and I think a lot of people are. But when Trump won, all right, Rachel, my wife, was out of town. This year, on election day, she's going to be out of town on the same city. And I was just like, oh, man. It's like, taking the jersey off before the game's over,
So it's your guys' fault if Trump wins? Is that what you're telling me?
It's her fault. It's not my fault, dude. It'll be her fault.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you this.
We interrupt our program to bring you a special.
Here is a news bulletin. We interrupt this program to bring
all the humanity and all the things. A state which will live in infamy. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Need to know news.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
News you need to know.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Steve Harness.
Right. Okay, I started pulling news articles for today. Nick and I throughout the week in between when we record these things, we're always flagging stuff that we want to talk about. And as I compiled my political related articles today, I noticed a theme. The theme is Trump is lying to you. And I know that's nothing new per se, but as we get close to the election here, it really seems to be escalating. And I'll just start with my first article about Trump is lying to you.
And his mouth is moving.
Yeah, that's a good indication right there. So, yeah. Let's talk about Trump. Working at McDonald's, a working class hero, that Donald Trump, I tell you.
Did you see him with the apron on, Steve?
Oh, I did. Working hard. And I can't believe the praise he is getting from the conservative sheep out there. Former President Donald Trump's supporters were all over social media this weekend, hailing his shift, quote unquote. Keep in mind a shift is 8 hours, but whatever. Working at a Pennsylvania McDonald's as a heartfelt and apparently unprecedented show of solidarity with working class Americans.
Oh my God, dude.
Right. Trump's stint was at a McDonald's in Bucks County, northeast of Philly. Lasted for almost a whole 30 minutes, by the way. The 2024 Republican presidential nominee, he manned the fryer for a little while. Then he took a turn at the drive-thru where he served customers that, by the way, the Secret Service had pre-screened. We'll get to that.
Okay.
A couple of quotes here. One of the greatest moments in presidential campaign history, wrote one right-wing author and influencer, Kate Pavlich, never heard of her. Commentator and 2020 Trump campaign official Tim Murtaugh said that there has never been a better day of campaigning in Pennsylvania.
Well, that's sad, dude. I mean, come on. That is really sad.
Right. Some right-wing activist named Jack Posobiec, who I'm so glad I don't know any of these people, but
right.
He said, quote, "Look at Trump and McDonald's. That stuff can't be taught or faked. Authenticity. That's the real deal," he said.
Dude, did people still? I'm hoping that everyone saw this because, when people, you can tell how uncomfortable he is, whether it's holding the bag or, it's just all looks so unnatural that he's ever done anything with his hands at all. The fact that people would think like, gosh, that's learned. You can't fake that stuff. Like, what a pile of bullshit.
Clearly the guy's never done a real day's work in his life. And by the way, this is not unprecedented. This has been going on in presidential politics forever,
Sure.
Where someone will stop in at a business and they'll jump behind the counter and work. But the stark difference between all of those previous examples and this one is that candidates stopped by a functioning business during business hours and they jumped in and helped with real customers and employees. This entire event was staged. They shut down that McDonald's for this. And as I just said, the Secret Service pre-screened all of these customers, quote unquote, that Trump served, none of which seemed to be Trump haters, none of which had any unflattering questions, and none of which, by the way, got the food they ordered. They were just, they were pre-screened, they were pre-set up to come through. They were staged in the parking lot during this event and then, let go forward one at a time. So,
there's pictures and video of them practicing for what they're about to do. Completely staged.
Not that it would be that much more genuine if he was really working, because obviously he wouldn't have actually worked, but that would screw with that McDonald's, people not getting their orders right and all getting slowed down. So yeah, they closed down the McDonald's and the owner of that franchise put a little note on the window explaining that they were going to be closed for a political event and that by by no means are they endorsing, the candidate, but that they agreed to take part in this staged photo op, which in no way was Trump actually working a shift at McDonald's.
Would you have let them do it? I mean, I don't think you have to. I don't think I would have let it happen.
That's a good question. I would assume that guy, the franchise owner there, must have gotten paid. I mean, he essentially rented out his business for an hour or two, so I would assume he got paid, or did it.
Maybe Trump told him he was going to get paid. Let's see if he does.
Well, I was going to say classic. He may have been offered compensation. Good luck getting it out of Trump and his cronies. But yeah, all garbage.
Did you see the people who did come through? First of all, I'll tell you this. If I was going to stage an event like this, I would have people come through that had light concerns about Donald Trump and have him win them over in the drive-through. These people pulled up like, we're MAGA, oh, you got a beautiful family. You got a beautiful family. This one's on Trump. I'm like, fucking thanks for the cheeseburger, douchebag. But no one said anything, just even a tiny bit combative or questioned him in any way. It's so kitschy and shticky. It's gross to me.
Yes. And one of these articles points out in the 30 minutes he was there, most of it was dominated by questions from reporters. So it's not like he was really interacting with these staged pre-screened customers that were coming through there.
Well, and you know what? For a person who's running for president of the United States, you may look at this and not think about it, but just think for a moment. Why would Trump do this? Why did he go to McDonald's? Why was he there in the first place? What is he trying to show us other than I can work with people that are on minimum wage?
He's got some notion that Kamala was lying about working at McDonald's. So he was making jokes about, hey, I've been here 15 minutes. That's 15 minutes more than Kamala ever worked.
Yeah, I have a little audio of him talking at McDonald's if you want to hear it.
I do. The clown speaking at the original clown restaurant.
I wish it would have been coming through the drive-through speaker.
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's,
Huge.
how tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry, where they make the French fries, and she talked about the heat. It was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again, by the way. She never worked at McDonald's.
Oh my God.
Come on.
There's so many lies and inaccuracies in there. First of all, he does know a lot about McDonald's. He probably knows more about it than Kamala does because he eats there all the freaking time, which is disgusting for an old man who will not tell us about his health report and history or concerns, right?
Right. Yes.
Secondly, it's a big part of her resume. Right next to graduating from law school, next to becoming Attorney General of Attorney General of San Francisco. Is it Attorney General of the state?
Hey, all we got to say is Vice President of the United States of America. McDonald's is a big part of her resume.
This is the thing. She's got an impressive resume, so I get it messed up. She was District Attorney of San Francisco, Attorney General of California, Senator from California, then Vice President. But yes, her time at McDonald's during college in the 70s or 80s, that's a big part of her resume.
I can't with him, dude. There's a part of me, like everyone else in this nation, that looks at Trump and be like, I hate the bastard, but he says funny shit that's just so crazy that I'll laugh at him. But this is just nuts, dude. I had to come here. She never worked here. McDonald's verified that. They did not verify that.
Right. So that was the other thing I was going to point out. McDonald's has not confirmed that she didn't work there. Because, why? Who makes that kind of thing up? Why would you even bother saying you worked at McDonald's if you didn't? Now, just for the record, Nick and I just went on Snopes just to see what Snopes says. And, for better or for worse, Snopes says that it is an unconfirmed story, meaning I guess Kamala hasn't forked over a pay stub from whenever she worked there, but no one's doubting it. There is anecdotal evidence that she had been there, but again, who cares? But McDonald's did not come out and say that she never worked there, so that's just categorically false. And if they had, Snopes would have it as a false rating, not just unconfirmed.
Right. Yeah. And she's out doing real shit right now. You think she's worried about digging up a pay stub from McDonald's? This is classic Trump. to a larger degree with Obama and the birth certificate. Just everything's false. Everything's false. And then when it gets proven, it's not a story anymore. It's no big deal.
Or like Obama, even when he did fork over the birth certificate, finally, it was like, well, it's all fake. It's all been hovering. He'll never answer his question to his satisfaction.
And how hard would it be to fake a pay stub from McDonald's from the 80s?
Right. I will tell you, if Trump does lose this election, good news, he can get a job at McDonald's, because some people were saying that it was ironic that he was there since he couldn't get a job at McDonald's since he's now a convicted felon.
That's funny to think about.
Yes. However, as we do with everything here, we decided to fact check that. It's actually not true. McDonald's is on a list of felon-friendly employees or employers. So McDonald's does hire felons. So, Donald, you showed some skills there, buddy. You could get a job even though you got 34 convictions. Now, granted, you're about to be sentenced to a few years in prison, so you better get some overtime in before that. But.
Yeah, get your commissary filled up. Listen, he kept putting extra salt on stuff while he was doing. Can I put a little extra salt? I love salt. But you are the specimen of a perfect human body, I'm sure.
And when Trump does go to prison, I think his cellmate will be supersizing a Happy Meal just for Donald. That I don't know if he'll be loving it or not. But
something tells me he will, dude. I mean, he's going to get his. They're going to move on him like a bitch. Isn't that what Donald says?
That is. And that's perfectly okay to say, Nick. And I'm seeing all these females out there voting for Trump. I'm proud to be voting for a felon. Well, I hope you meet him in person so he can grab you by the kitty cat because he's famous and you have to let him do it.
Yeah. It just shows how stupid you are. Like, some people are at least hiding it, or at least saying, like, I hate the guy, but I want something that he's promising. But to say I'm all for him, I love him. Yeah, I don't have anything for you. Sorry.
No, this whole I'm voting for the felon proudly thing. I at least like it when someone tries to push back on him being a felon. Like, he hasn't gone to prison yet, or maybe it'll be appealed. Like, at least you're trying to grasp at not supporting a felon. But all of these I'm voting for the felon shirts and hashtags out there, like, how do you sleep at night? How do you live with yourself? And how is half this country about to vote for the man? It just boggles my brain.
Yeah, I don't get it, dude. It's something I don't understand. People I know, I think, no one's confirmed they're voting for him. I just get the idea, that they may be voting for him. And I'm just like, oh, God, dude, please, just for a second, can you just trust me for 10 minutes? I saw someone post on a message board, like, everybody calm down. If Kamala or if Trump wins, it's not even going to affect your life. If Kamala wins, it's not even going to affect your life. It's not that big of a deal who wins here. I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, you are half right. Like, if Kamala or when Kamala wins, you will notice great things happening, or you won't notice anything at all. It'll be all right.
No, I've tried to tell several Trump supporters, like, just knock it off. You're going to be fine when she wins. All right. But no, I don't think things will be fine if Trump were to win. So I don't know. It is the final countdown. And I just wonder if are there really undecided voters out there still, Nick? What in the hell could you possibly be waiting for so that you could distinguish between these two?
Listen, if you watch Fox News, there's not a large percentage of people who will watch Fox News and then switch to MSNBC just to try and cover all angles. Yeah. So these people that are undecided are having this moral feeling of like, gosh, is this right? To vote for a convicted felon or a felon and, somebody who's been proven civilly of rape. But, oh, God, I want to vote for him. And they're watching Fox News just talk about everything being lies. So, yeah, there's people that are still undecided out there.
I think they're just lying to themselves. They have to have decided by now. But like you're saying, they just don't want to verbalize it out loud that they can't possibly be supporting the guy. So I just wonder, will those people end up voting for Trump, or will they just stay home?
I feel like, and I hope I'm right, but I feel like a lot of them are going to stay home. Even ones that I've talked to said, I just don't think I'm going to vote this election.
Yeah.
So
you'll see. I've been seeing some data that, some of those never Trump Republicans are starting to come home to them. So we'll see. This is going to be a nail biter. Doesn't mean it couldn't be an electoral landslide one way or the other. Like if the states tip one direction or another, doesn't matter how close they are. If you get the W, you get the W. So,
yeah.
Oof. But we're in the final countdown, and voting has already started in a whole bunch of places. So part of me thinks we're kind of on cruise control here. But for those of you claiming to be undecided, either be honest with yourself or just fucking stop already. I don't want to hear from you. Sit it out. Let us adults figure this one out for you. If you can't decide by now who you're voting for, I don't think you should be voting.
Yeah, if you don't know both of these candidates as of now, like there's nothing you're going to find out about them that is going to sway your mind because your mind's already made up who they are, what you believe, what you don't.
I've been in a few Reddit arguments recently where after several back and forths, someone will finally tell me, I don't like either of these candidates. And I'm like, right. Whoa. Are you telling me you're not even going to vote? And they're like, hell no, I'm not voting for this. I'm like, then shut the hell up. I'm not even going to have this discussion with you. Let us adults figure this out. We'll decide where your future's going with this. You're not even voting crap. Screw you. Pipe down.
Yeah.
If you're not going to vote, then shut the hell up. I don't want to hear from you.
You patriot.
God. Internet troll loudmouths. Either show up and pick a team or pipe the hell down.
Yeah. And don't pretend like you care about America. I mean, I'm sure you care on some level, but don't care like, oh, I lay my life down for this country. Like, no, you don't, because there's an important decision to be made here. You've seen the facts. You refuse to ingest them, take them in, really hold on to them and think, no, I would never vote for a person like that. So, yeah, sit it out. Go ahead and shut up.
On we go.
This is Need to Know News. News you need to know. Hello, Americans. This is Paul Harvey. Stand by for news.
Hey, dude, have you heard anything about Progress 2028?
I've just started seeing some rumblings about it. So, no. What is it?
All right, so we're going to jump into this a little bit. And let me tell you, I'm just going to be upfront with you that there's a lot of moving parts to this, and the information on it is sort of just coming in. So I don't know everything about it. I'm going to tell you what I do know about it, and then it'd be great if you go research more, anyone listening, because it's a serious deal. So this is a new campaign trick that Trump and Vance and Elon Musk have, sort of come together and put this whole thing together. Project 2028. This is looking or being looked at by people, or it's supposed to be, as it is the other side of Project 2025, like this is Kamala's plan, what she's going to do. As you go through this, they've done a good job to try and trick you, because obviously none of this is coming from Kamala, but they put some of her stuff down, like supporting the LGBTQ plus community, who work with transgender people, okay? And then they magnify it by 1,000 degrees. Be like, I would like for kids to go to school and be able to come home with a sex change, and so there's just a little bit of truth mixed with all these lies. Okay.
Right. Which is part of their MO over there. So that makes sense. And they're so pissed off that we all figured out Project 2025. So they're trying to deflect, is what you're saying.
Completely. And they're trying to fool you. They're trying to get Kamala's people that are thinking about voting for her to come and read this and be like, I thought she was a little more moderate than that. They're just trying to scare people away. Like, that does sound crazy that my kid could come home with a sex change, and the problem is they've printed out fictitious stuff that they're sending to people in the mail about, that they know are already voting for Kamala. They're registered. So they're sending them stuff with a picture of Kamala, and then it's a statement she never made or something she never said she wanted to do. This is literal propaganda, and it is illegal, and Elon Musk is a part of it. Big surprise, surprise.
That's part of today's theme, is that the Trumpers, the MAGA team, they're just lying to you to try to get your votes, whereas Kamala is trying to inspire you. And that right there should tell you all you need to know. The fact that one side feels they have to completely lie to you to get you to vote for their team, that should be disqualifying all by itself.
Yes, 100%, dude. If you think that the campaign has to do that to, don't they respect you enough to say, let them look at the material on both sides, and they are smart Americans. They'll make up their own mind, and that's their free will. They don't care about you like that. Trump said, I love the poorly educated. I love my poorly educated people. Like, he is drawing on you. He wants you, and he's told you out loud, dum-dum.
This is a gigantic problem. What you just said about smart Americans, like, goddamn. Unfortunately, so many of us are not. We're not smart enough to fact check any of this, to look beneath the headline between the sound clips and stuff. And I'll get a little deeper into it on the next article. But so many people, you just make a statement, they just believe it. It was said on TV. It was said on the radio. It's got to be true.
You know what? And it's something that can be easy to fall into if you don't stay diligent and say, you know what? Before I repeat something, I'm going to fact check it so I'm not passing around bullshit, right? It can be easy to be like, oh, I trust this person. I read their stuff all the time. Like, I can't wait to tell Steve what just happened without fact checking it. So everyone should be diligent about it. But when the other candidate is sending out bullshit, it's not stuff that they got wrong. It's stuff that they intentionally got wrong because they want to lie to people to trick and fool them.
You asked a couple episodes back, like, why do we let politicians lie? And as I said to you back then, like, on one level, it's First Amendment. You're actually allowed to lie, I suppose. But there's such a difference between a classic political lie where you're fudging facts, you're rounding up, you're taking something that's true and you're putting the most positive spin on it you can. And it can be called a lie. If you say your program is going to create 3 billion jobs and the data says 2.5 billion and you round it up, like,
sure,
that's a classic political lie. But the Trump world is just flat out making stuff out of nowhere, especially with this AI kind of stuff and misinformation. And I really do start to wonder, like, what are we going to do to curb this kind of stuff? And I got into another, debate online this past week where someone kind of said the same thing, like, well, how do we know what's really a lie? And my response was, there is a gray area on some of this stuff where you probably have to let it go. But when we know for sure it is a fact that this has been made up, it has been debunked, it has been proven to be false, I really feel like the media outlets, or more so the social media, platforms, have an obligation to, at a minimum, label it that way. Even if you're not going to take it down, just put a frickin' fact check right there. That would at least be something.
But then it's suppression of free speech, isn't it?
Bullshit. Yeah, right. But boy, it is really getting out of control. And that one political mom, I forget what her name is. She's always in the kitchen ranting and raving.
Crappy McFart pants, dude.
Yeah, she just put out a book. She's doing well. And she's now made her way onto the CNN, roundtable circuit. She's one of the liberals who gets brought on there. In her defense, she brought this up the other day on CNN, and everyone on the panel just berated her. Like, you silly housewife, how could you think we can curb lying? We've tried in the past and it failed. And she said, like, well, we need to try again because this is a new day and age. Technology, AI, misinformation, like, this shit is dangerous.
Yeah.
Literally dangerous. So let's not just all roll over and pretend like, what you going to do? Politicians always lie. It's the difference between fudging facts and just flat out propaganda lying.
Yes, 100%. It's funny. I mean, everyone saw, there's some of the interview where Kamala sat down with Brett Baer over at Fox News, and where he was like, 50% of the people want Trump. Like, do you think they're stupid? She's like, I would never say that about the American people. I'm like, maybe you should, dude. Maybe we should let people know that, like, leave this one to the adults. We'll take care of it because you don't know anything for a fact. Go figure it out, dummy.
I'll say it. You're either stupid or you like being tied into a misogynistic, racist a-hole. I am so sick of, I don't like Trump personally, but I like his tax cuts and his conservative judges. Every Republican will give you tax cuts and conservative judges. Bullshit. You like something more about him. So you're either stupid enough to fall for his propaganda, or you're well aware of it, but you secretly like him.
Yes. Yeah. There's some sort of fascination and addiction. It's a cult, like you said. I mean, and a lot of people are in it. They're not carrying membership cards, but like we know you're in the cult, dude. We can tell.
And the whole question in the polling right now, 2016, they undersampled the Trump support, and that's how the polls were wrong back then. I really do wonder what's going on in this round if the polls are sampling the Kamala wave correctly. Because when I see how many people are showing up to her rallies versus people that have the yard signs, like my son the other day asked me, like, how come we don't have a Kamala Harris sign in the yard? I'm like, I don't need these mega idiots in our neighborhoods throwing eggs in my house or tearing the sign, whatever it is. So I do think that there's underpolled, excitement going on out there. And I do think it's showing up on election day, but we'll see.
It's interesting, dude, because, I shared with you a couple of weeks ago that Rachel had ordered some, Harris Walls signs, and she put them up in front of the house. Who am I? I was nervous about it, but who am I to tell her what to do? It's her house, too, But I did ask her. I was like, do you think we're setting ourselves up by putting that out there, certain people? She's like, I guess I don't care. And so I said, all right, go with it, dude. And then I asked her, like, what's your reason for wanting to put it out there? Like, for people to either hate on it or love it, honk when they drive by? Like, what's the reason? And she was like, maybe in this neighborhood, that if another neighbor sees that I'm doing it, that they'll feel like it's acceptable. Like, oh, maybe there is some blue people around here. Like, maybe it is okay to vote for her.
I get that. It's why we do what we do. It's why we push back in the comments. We're hoping to inspire others. And I don't know. I live in a red area nowadays, and I did finally see a huge Harris Walls sign pop up on the farm road that I drive by, where all these farmers have their Trump stuff out. And, I'm proud of that farm that they were willing to put that out there. Now, It's funny, too, because like 2 farms down, they have this huge Trump sign out. Somebody went by and tried to tear the sign down, and all they essentially did was tear the T off it. So it said rump for a while, which I thought was funny. But then, just to add insult to injury, that farmer went out and put a freaking cross to replace the T. So cross with the rump, so it's his again. Like, you somehow made it even worse. So I'm going to take a different way to work from now on.
Christians, dude, that are doing this, that are saying like he's a Christian, like you should be so ashamed of yourself. Like, you should be so ashamed of yourself that you're aligning him with the person you choose to worship. And that should tell you something, dude, that if you're worshiping God and you feel like he's so close to God, you're worshiping him too. Like, just call it what it is. And it's really gross.
Well, you're just proving gullible, blind faith. There's nothing Christian or Catholic about Trump. Multiple marriages, cheating on his wife, all of these crimes. I mean, what the hell would he be Christian about?
You know what? And just to put another angle on that, I'm all good with people that have done things in their life that weren't great, being, loved by God, or feeling like they're connected to God somehow through religion. But you have to be humble about it and be like, hey, I've made a lot of mistakes, or even I continue to make some mistakes, but I'm trying not to. Like, it doesn't add up.
Absolutely. It's part of this Trump philosophy of never admitting mistakes. It would be one thing if he humbled himself and said, I'm a flawed man. I've made mistakes. But even as I just say that, like, did you ever imagine Trump saying that? Please.
No. Very flawed. Very flawed.
Oh, that is the collective exhaustion you just heard from Nick and I of what's going on.
So, yeah, there's a lot of really sneaky, nefarious shit. People always wonder, what's the October surprise? Well, it's being done a little bit more covertly. They're sneaking up on you with this October surprise. And will it make a dent in what's going to happen? If you let it, it will. But everyone should be informed right about now.
I do wonder if there's an October surprise coming, or if it's already here and none of us have noticed that he really does have dementia, or he really is lying to you repeatedly. I don't know if anyone notices or cares.
Or maybe it's that he was a great McDonald's worker, dude. Maybe I think that's the October surprise.
And like we said, voting's already underway for a lot of us. So, time to make your choices. And if there is an October surprise to come, you better get it out there either side, because, people are already lining up in record numbers, by the way. And I have to believe that's tipping Democratic, but we'll see.
A lot of mail-in voting going on, which is typically leans to the blue side, but, you never know.
And so does early voting. So
yes, that's right.
Need to know news.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
News you need to know.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yep. All right, continuing my theme here of Trump is just flat out lying to you. It's been interesting to watch some of what's going on through my son's eyes. My son is a 15-year-old dude, and he watched the vice presidential debate with me. And you remember that part where J.D. Vance was saying that the reason housing prices are so high is because all of these illegal immigrants are snatching up the available housing everywhere. Right?
Yeah, those tax-paying illegal immigrants.
Right. And I just want to point out, my son is 15 and is a little political savvy, having just been around me, but he's a 15-year-old kid. And I think he looks at some of these things apparently through the same eyes that a lot of the electorate do, of just, I heard something, it must be true. So, for example, during that debate, he looks at me and he was like, well, hold on. He was like, he's got a good point. That's not fair that immigrants are able to get a house ahead of us. Why shouldn't Americans be able to get those houses? And
okay.
I was like, oh, son, we just moved into a rental house. Do you think it was me and a bunch of farm workers who can't speak English fighting for this house? Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, when you say it that way, I guess that doesn't make a lot of sense. And of course it doesn't. Look at our community. Do you see immigrants just roaming the streets, homeless, looking for affordable housing? Do you think they're renting 3-bedroom, 3-bath houses in a brand new subdivision? Maybe some very low-end stuff, but even that, it's just a misnomer to say. Because, again, rental applications come down to usually a competitive process. It's the most qualified.
Yeah,
and
right.
I can't imagine the average landlord is going to say, gee, we've got some American citizen with a real job versus migrant farm workers who can't speak the language, can't even fill out the application. But we're going to give it to them. It's crap like that.
No references. Let's not take the guy with great rental references. Let's give this family a shot.
That's a great point. I mean, it's already hard enough to just as a employed white dude to get a house, because you do have to have good references, and they check your credit and they check all your criminal background, all of these things. Don't tell me I'm competing with migrants. But again, my son heard a man on TV say that who could be our vice president, and he thought, well, that guy's got a good point based on just the surface. So
let me tell you that he's got an excuse, first of all. His brain is still under testing.
Testing?
It has not fully formed yet, that frontal lobe. Right. So, he's testing the waters, learning all this stuff. If you are, 20 plus, no excuse.
Right, exactly. What's your excuse?
Yeah.
So, same thing. Cross and I were watching, I think it was a football game, because there's a lot of political ads going on during sports right now, which is a buzzkill, but I get it. So he heard an ad where, again, after the ad was over, he was just like, wow, did Kamala really say that? That's outrageous that she said that. And it's interesting that he brought it up, because we are in a swing state right now, because we moved, and so we're getting a lot of these ads, the Kamala ones and the Trump ones. And the ad that my son was like, boy, that's crazy that she would have said that, just made CNN fact checkers most deceptive ad of the 24 election, top list, the most deceptive ad.
Wow. And with how many there are out there, this is the number one. What is it?
Yes. So fact-checking reporter Daniel Dale from CNN broke down a new spot that's been released by Trump's campaign. He said might be the single most deceptive campaign ad I've seen all cycle. The video takes aim at Democrat nominee Kamala Harris's tax plan. But included, quote, 2 just horrifically edited quotes, plus a made-up statistic. Again, they feel that they have to lie to you in order to make their point. So let's break it down a little here. The start of the ad pointed to an August article in the New York Times, which warned that Harris is seeking to significantly raise taxes. Dale highlighted, however, the full quote was actually, Harris is seeking to significantly raise taxes on the wealthiest Americans and corporations.
Oh, that's kind of important.
Right.
Yeah.
So those important words were completely edited out. And the other part of the ad, and this is the one my son was like, wow, she really said that? In another part of the ad, Harris was seen saying that, quote, taxes are going to have to go up. But again, Nick, I know you'll be shocked to know that they edited that out of context. She said that, taxes are going to have to go up on estate taxes for the richest Americans.
Unbelievable, dude. I mean, us being in radio, and we used to record phone callers for like requests back in the day. Like, we learned early on the early side of digital audio that you could make people say whatever you wanted from a quick phone call. So we know the deception, but remember when people used to come in and watch us make someone say something completely different? They'd be like, "Oh my God!" Like mind blown. Like these, even I think, is still a lot of Americans.
Yes, it's absolutely true. It's easy to do. It's editing. But as I always say, with almost anything you ever see, if you see a quote like that from Kamala and you're just like, I can't believe she said that on camera, being interviewed, she just said, hey, sorry, taxes are going to have to go up.
Yeah.
Maybe take 2 seconds of your life and go fact check that. Because, she said taxes are going to have to go up on the wealthiest of Americans. That's some pretty key context right there.
Yes, for sure. Also, let's not forget, dude, if you go to her webpage, it's organized very, very easily and nicely done. If you want to see what she's running on, you can see all of her plans that she knows as of now on this page and go read them.
And the made-up statistic, by the way, in the ad, the pro-Trump ad said that Harris's plan would raise family taxes by $2,500. This reporter said that he does not know where that number comes from. There's no math on her tax plan that shows that it would raise taxes for anyone making under $400,000 a year. And if you're making $400,000 plus, sorry, but you are wealthy and maybe you should be paying a little more. But even those tax increases are, it's scaled. If you're making $400,000, your taxes are not going to go up as much if you're making $4 million a year or whatever. So the whole ad was just edited out of context, made up crap. But again, my naive son sat there going like, wow, I can't believe she would say that.
Well, I mean, it's cute on one level that, he's learning through this process, but it's also really sad that, this is the political system he has to learn. That is the innocence of a kid that hasn't been jaded yet by this world, where it's like, I can't believe anyone would say that. Yeah, son, they'll say a lot of different shit. And the point is to trick you and make you do what they would like you to do. And let's not get it twisted. It happens in all of politics. It happens in the blue. It happens in the red. But let's be very clear that it is nefariously coming from the red on such a consistent basis and from the head down that we don't know what to believe anymore.
Well, that's the problem. So much misinformation. People just wash their hands. But I can't imagine how many people watching football see that ad from Kamala are just like, what? She said my taxes have to go up. I'm not voting for her. And by the way, I would challenge you to find an ad that the Harris campaign has put out that is just factually wrong, edited out of context.
No, I mean, she's taking stuff and playing it in, a lot of her commercials that I'm seeing, like even on TikTok, coming from the, Kamala HQ account is, just little snippets from his rally. And I mean, it's stuff that he's saying, not edited. That's all she really needs to show people.
Exactly. That's why she doesn't have to lie. There's already so much toxic stuff about Trump that you don't need to make it up. He's given you everything you need. But then the sad part is it does nothing to his base. They don't care. They don't care about facts, information, anything. They want their cult leader no matter what. So these fictitious undecideds is, I guess, who these ads are targeted for. But again, I don't know who the hell these people are.
Well, they are the people that are scared. That all of Fox News, scaring them, all Trump stuff. It's all fear based. It's all scaring you into something. It's very much like, if you don't accept Jesus, you're going to hell. Like it's a do this or you're going to get that. And they're very affected by it.
And since you brought up Fox News, I'll just mention real quick, Chris Wallace, who left Fox News a couple of years ago. He was always seen as the the real journalist there, since Chris Wallace has a long history prior to Fox News. But he gave an interview recently where he said in pretty frank terms why he left Fox News. He said that he can no longer tolerate the conspiracies and lies. That before the 2020 election, he said that there was a firewall between Fox News anchors and the opinion-based shows, the Tucker Carlsons, the Hannitys, and all that.
Sure.
He said since the 2020 loss, that firewall has just deteriorated. He said, I saw a poll that said that 70% of Republicans do not think that Biden is legitimate president. He said that's horrifying. When you talk about why did you leave and why was this unsustainable, he said, I had no problem with conservative opinions and any more than I do with liberal opinions. But what I do have a problem with is conspiracies and lies. And that's what Fox News has become. So that's why he quit. They're lying to you. Someone on the inside came out and is telling you this.
And let's be honest, when Dan Rather came out and started speaking against Trump and everything else, another person who has spent a lot of time in the field of actual journalism, people immediately always like Dan Rather. All of a sudden, then he's an idiot if he feels that way. No, this is a guy you've trusted for decades and decades with your news, and now you're just going to throw it out. But it's people like fuckstick Jesse Waters that you're trusting. It makes zero sense to me.
They're in a vacuum. They're in a bubble. They're in an echo chamber. They don't want to hear dissenting opinions. And it's funny. I'll just tell you real quick here. I found a page on Reddit. It was just for conservatives, a conservative page. And I thought I would post one of our videos there and just see what they say, see what their feedback is. This conservative page on Reddit will not let you post unless the moderators approve your post ahead of time, which I don't find that on almost any other Reddit page. So I did it. I submitted our post and I wanted to see if they would approve it. They denied it. They wouldn't even let it be posted to the page for discussion because they live in a bubble. They don't want to hear any other opinions or facts. They just want to scream at each other about their outrage and their, faux opinions on everything in this world. So wouldn't even let our opinion permeate that bubble.
And that just shows you the lack of confidence in their information, right? I'm not going to let real shit in here, dude. Let's keep this picture we've painted and let everyone just keep, being riled up about all that. That's it. That's suppression, isn't it, on some level?
Of course. But the million followers that page has, they probably have no idea the moderator is censoring information and getting to them, just like they don't understand that Fox News and OAN are doing the exact same thing to them.
It's also a lot of people that are making money on the back of this. I saw a lady out, the Good Liars were talking to her, and they asked her, who she was voting for. And she was a vendor, an owner of a company, followed Trump around the country and sold his wares of, Trump hats and flags and everything. And he was like, who are you voting for? She was like, I've only voted one time and it was for Obama. Right. And he's like, oh, really? And she was like, yeah, I haven't voted since then. I'm like, you little bitch. You are following this man and just getting all these people pumped up. Don't even vote for him. So people want to make money off of this. And that's what helps them sleep at night, I guess.
That's what conservative media is, though. And she's just doing it. She sees these gullible sheep that you can make money if you just preach at that choir. So on one level, I don't blame her. She's milking the goats out there, milking the sheep, and she's not wrong. You can make all sorts of money if you're a conservative hero out there.
Well, that's just crazy.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you this. We interrupt our program to bring you a special.
Here is a news bulletin. We interrupt this program to bring you
the humanity and all the things. A date which will live in infamy. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Need to know news.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
News you need to know.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Welcome to The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. With election week just ahead, I guess we're doing all politics. I tried to put some non-political stuff in. I think it's too important not to talk about. But here's an article. First of all, let me ask you this. What do you think of The Independent?
The Independent. I don't know enough about them to offer a solid fact-checking opinion. You asking like which way they lean or something?
I've kind of knew where they leaned, and I looked today just to see because I was curious. And it said they're a little left middle, more so than right, and that's kind of where I thought they were. Yeah. But I only feel like they're that way because they're reporting on facts.
Well, facts have a liberal bias. That's not a funny saying. It's really true. And how sad is that? Facts tend to lean towards the liberal viewpoint of science being real and facts being what we base our opinions on.
Right. So the Independent put out this article. Let's see. This is Gustav Killander is the story, or who it's by. Nearly 1 in 5 Republicans believe that if Trump loses, he should do, quote, whatever it takes to put himself back in the White House.
Yeah. Okay.
That's 1 in 5 people, dude. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Very crazy. And that's also something my son asked me about. Like, could there really be a civil war in this country, Dad? Could these people actually take to the streets? And as I told him, yes, they could, but I have enough faith in our institutions. The cops aren't just going to let people run wild and start a civil war. The National Guard's not. There may be some pockets of good old boy sheriff's department that may let it slide a little bit, but we're not going to have a civil war. We can't. Law enforcement will step in.
You would think that would be the truth, and hopefully everything would be all right. But 19% of Republicans believe former President Donald Trump should do whatever it takes to return to power, even if it means calling the results invalid if he loses. This is a new national poll that they just took, and it's going to tell you kind of where people are. This poll was conducted by the Nonpartisan Public Religion Research Institute. And I don't know how that can be nonpartisan, but okay, so this is basically what it says. It reveals Trump has molded the Republican Party in his image as he motivates its most extreme members. Okay. The poll shows that 29% of Republicans believe that true American patriots may have to resort to violence to save the country. That's 29% of Republicans, dude. I mean, that's creeping up there, right? There's that many crazy bastards in there.
These are probably people that are going to jog around the block. I highly doubt they're forming a militia and taking over the country. Okay.
Right. Okay. 16% of independents and 8% of Democrats say the same thing. There's 8% Democrats that say the same thing.
It's a bunch of blowhards. No one is doing it, okay? Do you know how inconceivable it would be to actually have a civil war in this country? What protest is going to escalate that level that the cops, the National Guard, that no one could squash it? It sounds fun to bluster and say, I would take to the streets and I would take back the guard. Bullshit. Take your little AR-15 and go up against a tank. Good luck to you.
Yeah, and if you're going to go up against, the law enforcement, like, you're not the patriot you say you are. I remember talking to people when January 6th happened, and I got this more than once where I was like, can you believe what happened today? And people said, what do you recommend? I'm like, not that. Well, what do you recommend if you think an election was stolen? Like, what should we do?
Go to court, file lawsuits, of which 60 of them attempted and failed. So good luck.
We're a civilized democracy, dude. There are steps. This is what you do. And it's not attacking the Capitol. But I was shocked to find out that there were any independents and Democrats in there. I thought, that's just the MAGA world. But apparently not. The president and founder of this research institute said, I've been doing this for 20 years, and these answers are keeping me up at night. I think he's trying to sensationalize this a little bit, but he said 41% of Americans who trust conservative news outlets back the idea of using political violence to achieve political goals. Dude, that's almost 50%.
I know, but these are the people on the comment section that keep telling me they want to find me and kick my ass. You're a troll. You're blustering. You would never do it in real life.
Just chest puffing.
Yes, of course. Everyone's a tough guy when they're hiding behind a screen or sitting on their couch. I challenge you to actually show up and put up 1%. That 30% would drop to 1%. And then it's 50-50 as far as who's going to win that fight or whatever. But the cops are going to show up and stop the whole goddamn thing anyways.
Yeah, they're gonna. You mean they're gonna get a hold of law and order?
Yeah. So, there was a movie that came out this last summer called Civil War. Do you remember it? It wasn't a big hit, but it was an interesting movie.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, it was about, they never named the guy Trump, but it was a few years in the future in America, and civil war had broken out because an authoritarian took over and declared martial law, and I'm going to stay in the office as long as I want. I'm going to use the military against civilians, things that we've heard Trump literally talking about. One of the things in this movie that they never specifically answer, but I think the inference to me was pretty obvious, was the two states in America that teamed up to take down this authoritarian government were California and Texas. And you may think, why would the big Democrat state team up with the big Republican state, the gun-loving Texans? It's because most Texans are the kind of don't tread on me. I don't want the government telling me that they're authoritarians. I don't want the government putting military in our streets against us. So it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
I actually think a bunch of conservatives, if martial law was declared, if civil war did break out, they would realize, like, hold on, what's going to happen when a liberal is the next authoritarian? Like, don't tread on me should be bipartisan.
Yes.
So, again, I don't see it ever actually happening. I could see some riots, some protests, another January 6th happening, but it'll get squashed, stuffed down right away.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, there's a lot in this poll, and they're all higher numbers than I would like to see. And they go into, not only trying to get stats on different religions, but different ethnicities, and they kind of break a lot of stuff down. But it's all outrageous. I mean, much higher numbers than I would think. So I appreciate the comments on it. And I think you're right. Like, this is not something to be afraid of. We should be ready for some outrage. When Trump is saying, like, if I don't win, it's going to be a bloodbath. Like, he's obviously dog whistling to a certain, group of people. But yeah, this is not going to be all out civil war.
The only good news about, there are going to be shenanigans after this election. If this goes the correct way and Trump is declared the loser, he's going to try again. But the good news is this time we see it coming. If a big protest breaks out at the Capitol, there's going to be police and everything all over that. They're not going to make the same mistake again.
Yeah. No, they can't. I mean, they can't. It was that was one of our saddest days in history, dude. One of them,
But things are going to go off the rails after this election. Just watch. But I have enough faith in some of the guardrails that we should be able to hold this thing.
One thing, this number I like on this study is 68% of Americans said we oppose legislation that would make it illegal to use or receive FDA-approved drugs like the abortion pill. So that's 68% is what they're pointing out here across the board of people who do not want Roe v. Wade to continue to be squashed and for this to go back to the states. Right. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. And it may be disturbing that, 8% of Democrats would be in favor of civil war or whatever.
Yep.
Well, that means 92% of us are not. That's an overwhelming majority. They get 92% of anyone on the same page. That's overwhelming.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. It was, I think, the red, I think it was much higher than that. What was it, 20%, something like that?
Well, listen, unfortunately, we got to wrap it up. I got multiple more stories that can just show you that Trump is lying to you to try to get you to, be scared into voting for him. But just rely on the examples we've already given. And I know most people listening to this have already decided which way they're voting. And most of our supporters are going to vote blue. But vote blue down ballot, for the love of God. Again, my son was asking me, like, is there any Republican you're going to vote for in this election? And I told him maybe in some theoretic future election there could be some level-headed Republican I may support. But right now, in this day and age, straight ticket, voting blue all the way up and down. We got to get rid of anyone who identifies as a Republican right now, because anyone still calling themselves a Republican is a Trumper.
Yeah, it's sad to think about it that way, but I think you're right. I mean, this will be the first election, I think, that I've ever gone blue completely down. There's been a red here and there.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick, I was in the garage yesterday with Crosby, or 2 days ago. We were gearing up to ride dirt bikes, and some door knocker came by. It was like, hey, are you a registered voter? And I was like, all right, let's see what they have to say. And they were like, hey, my buddy's running for the school board. Here's some information on them. I said, all right, thanks. I'll take a look at it. Opened it up. The first thing on top of it, it said conservative Republican. So I just thought, all right, let me write this name down so I know who not to fucking vote for on the school board. You think I want a conservative Republican on the school board? You were dumb to put that. So thanks for dropping off your flyer. I now know who not to vote for.
Yeah, well, he did you a favor for sure.
Exactly.
All right, you got more to get to?
Well, I do, but we're out of time. So
completely out of time. I got to mention just very quickly, because this will die. Did you see Trump on Fox and Friends, the interview? He sat on the couch with people beside him doing the interview about school board, all of this stuff. This is hysterical and very true. If you'll notice when you go back to look at the pictures, is sitting on a black pad on the couch.
He's not.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I've seen this going around, and it's one of these things where, we have enough things to make fun of the man for, but it's not true. If you watch the video, when he sits down, that's his oversized suit jacket that spreads out on either side of him.
No, it's not.
Not sitting on a piddle pad, I promise. I would love for it to be true. I would. But watch the video. There's nothing on the couch. He sits down. His suit jacket spreads out. That's what we see. He does crap himself, and they're right about the white couch there. But unfortunately, no, they did not put a piddle pad under Trump.
I gotta go. I gotta see it, dude. I'm gonna go. I believe you, but that's crazy.
Yeah, all right. I saw it and I wanted to jump on it, but then I saw the actual video of him sitting. It's not there. You see the jacket spread out. So
why is his tie and jacket so big, dude? It's so strange.
He's a fat lard, and he wears baggy clothes to hide his 290-pound blubber that he's got going under there.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll do it. You had another week that filled up too quickly. The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Indeed. Go to the website, thevocalminority.net, and spread it around on the social medias. Help us spread the good word. Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube. Those are our faves.
Hello, my mini champions. It's your favorite old bag, Betty White. This has been a production of The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. New podcasts are released twice a week. Don't forget to watch The Golden Girls wherever great TV is watched.